And our last General Secretary speaker, no introduction needed at all, Sharon Graham.
Whee! Thank you, everyone, and I'm really happy to be here with you today. Obviously, at the beginning of our planning, not just for the march on the 28th, and of course, I'll talk a bit about that, but also what we need to do beyond that. Because we are at the beginning of what must be a concerted campaign to stop the far right. Unite has been preparing for months, and I'm really proud that we are all coming now together as one team. For months, where we have taken legal advice to see how we can use our political fund so that we don't have to just put it in Labour's coffers, but we can use it for these campaigns. And, you know, before I get on to Farage, and we will talk about Farage, I think it's really, really important that we don't forget how we have come here so damn quickly. It's always bubbled up under the surface. We know it's never gone away. But how the hell have Reform got the charge that they have got? And I have to say, make absolutely no mistake, this is down to Labour's non-delivery. The absolute non-delivery for workers and the working class. Everyday people have paid year after year after year for 14 years. They were right at the back of the queue and they were hoping against hope that Labour would bring them to the front. We've got people since the 2008 financial crash, a disaster caused by corporate greed. We know that. COVID, a once-in-a-100-year event, and workers and communities paid the price over and over again. And many of those workers that paid with their lives, nurses, supermarket workers, bus workers, BAM workers who caught the virus in a much more severe way, migrant workers in our NHS who went to work to face danger when CEOs were underneath their duvet. And this is how Labour repay them. Labour has been absolutely shameful, picking the pocket of pensioners, attacking the disabled, giving bankers back their bonuses, stealth taxes, and doing absolutely nothing for everyday people or the investment in jobs. And they are now the most shameful of all. They are now trying to out-reform reform. What a bloody disgrace! So, friends, let's be really clear. It's not those crossing the channel in small boats that's responsible for the crisis in our NHS, in our public services, in housing, or in British manufacturing. That is down to successive governments pandering to the rich, the elite, and the powerful. And this Labour government is no different. Shame! 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 Friends, you know, when I'm sitting, you know, I have the unfortunate task of sitting with Keir Starmer, and I'm making the points that we're making now. What the hell are you doing? How the hell did you decide to pick the pocket of pensioners instead of looking at the rich in this country? And he says to me, we have no choice. And I say to him, we're the sixth richest economy in the world. Of course we have a choice. Tax the rich and do a wealth tax. Friends, the 50 richest families in Britain are worth £500 billion. 50 families are worth the same amount as half of Britain. If we did a 1% wealth tax on the richest 1% only, that would be £25 billion back into the Treasury in 1 year. What is wrong with that choice? Friends, absolutely, mate. Friends, I'm coming to redistribution. We've said to them to change the fiscal rules so they can renationalise our critical infrastructure areas. Why aren't we doing that? Friends, look, no wonder workers and communities are turning away from Labour. We know you're talking to people, we're speaking to people up and down the country. Not everyone who says they're going to vote reform is a racist, we know that. But they are a gateway to racist, make no mistake. So our big task is going to be hard. It's going to be a hard task. And yes, we will have the march, we'll have the rallies, we'll have all of those things, but we can't just do that on its own. It will not be enough. And friends, I just want to take a moment to outline a story that has guided me in terms of what we are now doing, what Unite is doing and trying to do in terms of the far right. When I was in my 20s, I was organising in a food plant in the North East Yorkshire and Humberside. And there was a fight in that car park with knives. There was a fight with knives between agency migrant workers and local workers. And that fight was over the fact that the boss had given all the overtime to the migrant agency workers and the local workers were annoyed about it. But the boss gave all the overtime to the migrant agency workers because they paid them flat rate and the local workers were getting time and a half. The boss made that issue happen. And that is what we've got to try and see, what we're looking at right out there. It took us months to get these workers to come together, months to put an agency agreement of parity in place so that we could stop that from happening, but also to make those workers see, punch up, stop punching down. This is the person that is causing you the problem. So, friends, we have got a monumental task. It's just those types of workplaces is what we have to shift around so people know where the problem is. Labour's reform support now is at 30%. 30%. They are now the most popular party in the UK. And Nigel Farage, we know this. He is absolutely no friend of the working class. A privately educated banker, I've got that right, banker, he has simply moved. He has simply moved from trading in the city to trading in fear. He offers no real answers to workers or their problems. So we must expose them. We must expose them where they're running councils. They will be taking more councils. We must expose them. But meanwhile, we've got to try and deal with the issue that the wrong people are being blamed. Unite is looking right now at financing campaigns from our political funds up and down the country, creating what we're calling for now union towns, starting in Barnsley and Middlesbrough, where we're already fighting industrially to try and link the industrial struggle with the struggle against the far right. We're working with our reps, we're running food banks, holding surgeries, and trying to embed ourselves. That's where trade unions came from. We came from the community, embed ourselves in the community, giving a different message to the far right, identifying who really is to blame for what is happening to working class people. Go through the painstaking work, just like we did in that food plant. We are developing a story. Together, we can develop a union story, a story for the working class, a story of collectivism, a story of non-division. Friends, we are the trade union movement, a movement that was built on the working class. Look at the mobilising power just in this room. Just in this room, we have a huge amount of mobilising power. We can mobilise together. And in tandem, and we shouldn't forget, in tandem, we will not accept the usual emotional blackmail from Labour. There isn't anyone else. Get off your arse and deliver. Now, friends, but just to finally say, we were going to have someone here from the Birmingham bin workers to speak. But can I just say thank you to everyone in the movement for your support from the Birmingham bin workers. I will never allow these workers to be starved back to work. Last week, they did another ballot with 100 support yes vote. Solidarity to the Birmingham bin workers. So friends, let's lift up our heads as well as our banners. Let's be proud to be the voice of the working class for the working class. We shall overcome. They will not divide us. Solidarity.